Hello everyone, my name is Alex and I was lucky enough to get my hands on a copy of Fujii, the new exploration fantasy game from Funktronic Labs, about a week or two before the game launched, which in my opinion has fully cemented me as a legitimate VR reviewer. So developers, do not hesitate to reach out to me and give me all of your games for free so I can play them and review them here. Let's go. So what is Fujii? That is a damn good question, and one that I was having a hard time answering even after playing the game for a few hours. Strap in for a few minutes because I think it's important to have a good understanding of what you're getting yourself into in order for you to fully get the most out of the experience in Fujii. Someone who is a seasoned gamer such as myself might find themselves asking where this is going or how to progress, when in reality the experience is definitely much more of a passive one compared to a lot of other VR titles. If I had to sum it up in a sentence, I would say that Fujii is a magical fantasy nature hike. It has vivid, colorful, living, moving landscapes that are filled with plants and animals that are there for you to interact with and discover. You'll illuminate your way through these darkened paths as you discover new areas and alien foliage to interact with along the way. And throughout the adventure, you will collect seeds to cultivate and plant at your home biome, which will then grow into plants, and you can spend resources to buy more seeds and plant them, and you kind of have like this little alien garden going. And for 2 hours, I really enjoyed myself while I kind of figured out what to do in this world that really didn't give me any sense of direction or any specific instruction. But honestly, the experience turned sour for me pretty quickly, as I had apparently finished the core gameplay without any real indication that I had done so. And I scoured my home biome looking for clues. I planted tons of alien plants. I went back into the other areas that I explored and went through them left and right. I moved around arbitrary items and just tried anything that I could to figure out what would trigger progression in this game. The game as a whole is confusing in the way that it doesn't really explain what you're doing or why you're doing it or how to do it. And rather than experiencing these like satisfying aha moments like, yes, I got it, I'd found myself feeling frustrated that I'd spent tons of time trying to figure out the purpose of an item or a thing that didn't have any purpose at all. Like these wind chimes, for example, that are just purely aesthetic. There's no function here at all, which I thought would be cool. Put this thing next to a plant, maybe it grows faster or something. You know, my mind was racing thinking of all of these mechanics that should exist in this game. I encountered one audio bug, mostly in the post game, where it sounded like the game was just being blasted through blown out speakers. It happened to me a few times of the maybe 10 or so times that I fired up the game. Also, my blubbery bouncing arms would fail to animate probably a good 35 to 45% of the time that I played the game, which wasn't a big deal, but they were kind of funny looking and I liked having them there, and I don't know, I liked the game a little bit more when I had my arms. There's no option for smooth turning or smooth movement in Fujii, teleport and snap turning only, which was another disappointment for me considering that this is a game that for all intents and purposes is a nature hike in VR and I can't actually move through the space. That also rendered the dual analogs of the Quest controllers a lot more useless than they would be in another game that actually uses those joysticks for function of moving. Otherwise, the visuals and the audio were good here and definitely kept me feeling immersed while I was playing the game. To be honest, Fujii just feels incomplete to me. While I was playing the game, I had tons of ideas about where it would be going or the new mechanics that would start to arrive, how I could eventually evolve the plants in my biome, but it turned out to be a very short-lived experience. And while you can technically play and like refine your home biome and just keep planting stuff and move things around and change it aesthetically, there really isn't any incentive to do so. It's really disappointing to me because the foundation of what is here is actually really, really good. And if they were able to take this idea and run with it and add much more mechanics and features like plants breeding, rare seeds, day and night cycles, procedurally generated areas and plants, an online social space. There's just so many mechanics that I thought this game was going to have and it just didn't. They really would have a fantastic VR experience on their hands and one that was separate from anything else that's currently available. It almost feels like they just kind of had to stop where they were and then just put a bow on it and ship it. I feel like Fujii is your grandma's favorite VR game. It is, in my opinion, not a game that you can sink your teeth into, and it kind of falls short on that feeling of you really discovering new things and exploring new things, and instead leaves you with a somewhat hollow feeling. Had they spent a lot more time on this game and added additional features and content, I would probably be singing a different tune. Or maybe I would have liked it more had I known how actually passive of an experience it was, instead of running around for hours after I had already completed the game trying to figure out how the hell I can progress in it. I don't think Fuji is a waste of money, I just have a hard time recommending it based on my experience with it. I didn't hate it, it just fell flat in comparison, and maybe after a few updates, it'll be a smoother and much more fulfilling experience. But all day, any day, I would much rather spend $30 to $40 on a fully fleshed out, well thought out, fully engaging experience than a $15 one that just feels unfinished and just leaves me wanting my time back. All right, if this review helped you, please like it. If it didn't help you, like it anyway because you love VR, and tell me in the comments how wrong I am. You can help push VR into the mainstream by liking and subscribing to stuff like this, subscribing to my channel, subscribing to other VR channels, and engaging in virtual reality content as often as you can. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.